What's up YouTube, and Happy New Year. Today's video is all about the games I picked up during the month of December 2016, and I did a little bit of travel this month. I went to Las Vegas, just got back a couple days ago. Got some really good stuff there, and other than that, most of the rest of these finds are just pretty much local stuff. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. As you guys know, my number one focus lately has been PS1 collecting, so I do have a lot of PS1 games to show. I'm going to start off with Sony systems. So first thing I want to talk about is the games I got that are part of the Black Label jewel case reissues of the big box games that I've been trying to complete the set of those. I am now under 10 left to get the full set of those. I would say of those 9 or so left, about 4 of them are going to be a complete nightmare to get, and the rest shouldn't be too bad. So let me show you the 3 I did pick up this month that fall into that category. First one of these is Chessmaster 3D. This one's nothing special. You can find this one very easily. Next one is Wing Commander 3, and this is a 4-disc game. Not really something I'm probably going to play, but, you know, one of those big box reissues I just wanted to get. And then the last one of these is the most interesting of the 3, and this one was the hardest one to find. This is the jewel case version of D, which is pretty darn difficult to find. I had to buy this online. This is one I never see in person, and just interesting that this came in a jewel case variant. So I like this game on the Saturn, so looking forward to trying out the PlayStation version and seeing how that is. The rest of these are just additional PlayStation games I found interesting. So first one of these is Roscoe McQueen Firefighter Extreme. Don't really have big hopes for this, but just was curious due to the ridiculous title, so we'll see how this is. Then I got an F1 racing game that I barely ever see. This one I think is going to be very difficult to find in the future. It's a double disc case, but it's just a single disc game, and this is F1 World Grand Prix. There's quite a few F1 racing games on the PlayStation. In Europe, these are probably huge sellers, but in the US, most people didn't really care. And the ones that are developed by Video System, like this one, seem to be the ones that are harder to find. So happy to find this one, just not a very common game. Another oddball game I got, just because I don't see it often, is the Smurfs. And this is not the only Smurfs game for the PlayStation. There's also a Smurf kart racing game as well, which I don't have, but don't really care for as much as this one. I was more interested in trying this one out. Seems just really weird. I don't think the Smurfs were a really hot license during the PlayStation era. This seems more 80s to me, but just decided to grab it just because I was curious. So, see how that one is. Next one I got, I don't know anything about other than it's a pretty early jewel case game, and this is Sentient. Make sure I say that right. Just some of these early Psygnosis titles you don't see real often either, so just wanted to see how that is. Game I picked up called Nanotech Warrior is sounds like it's a 3D shooter, so it might be something I'm interested in playing. Another one I just don't see real often. It was one of the pretty early releases for the PlayStation. Then I bought a big stack of games from one of my local friends. He just had a baby and decided to close out some of his PS1 collection, so we came to a deal. I picked up a lot of games from him. It was some pretty good stuff. The one I was most interested in, and the one I played the most of this stack, is this game, Clock Tower 2, The Struggle Within. Pretty good. It's very, very slow paced. I haven't had a chance to play the original Clock Tower yet, even though I got it last month. But definitely has, you know, some interesting themes to it, and it's very, I don't know, very interesting paced game. I've also been playing this with the PlayStation mouse, and it makes for an interesting experience. There's not a lot of games that support the mouse, so I always like to try those out. The thing that interests me also about this game is just the cover of it. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the movie Lost in Translation, but it just reminds me of that scene when Bill Murray is told by the director to put his hand close to face. And it's like this really awkward motion, and that just kind of looks like what the girl is doing there. So, I don't know, just something that struck me as odd. Another game I got from my friend is Legend of Mana, excuse me, gotta say it right. Very beautiful visually game, you know, but I've always heard that the gameplay in this one's kind of whatever. Nowhere near as good as Secret of Mana, so just interesting to have it. We got the Incredible Hulk. I think this is one of the last superhero games for the PlayStation I didn't have, at least of the Marvel superheroes. I got Dracula the Resurrection. There's 2 of the Dracula games for the system. I think I already have the other one, but I'm going to have to go back and check. But just an interesting point-and-click type adventure game that came out late in the system life. And then he threw in, for my jewel case collection, a Battle Arena Toshin, the jewel case variant, which is a variant of the variant. So I have the retail version that was not intended originally for retail, if that makes sense. So this is the not for resale version. This was the one that they packed in with the systems, and then I guess they made too many of these after the pack-in period ended, so they put a little sticker over the not for resale version, and that's the one I already had. So I don't know, you can go way down the rabbit hole if you start doing this variant collecting stuff, and I'm not going to go that crazy into it, but it's an interesting thing just to have, so I was happy you threw it in. Some other ones I got from them is Parasite Eve 2. Always wanted to try this game. I really liked the first Parasite Eve. It's just a very short game. You can knock it out super quickly. And I think this one's supposed to be a little bit longer, so I don't know. Hopefully I'll get to try that out soon. I also got Vga, another game I've been wanting for a long time. It's an Atlas title, and this one is very hard to find with the map for some reason. So this one actually had the map, that's why I was interested in getting it from him, but there's been several copies of this I've passed over in stores just because they're missing the map, so happy to get that one finally. I got Vandal Hearts from him, and I got the original Persona. Very interesting title I've wanted for a long time. I've had Persona 2 for a long time, but just never had the original one. Just interested in checking that one out. And finally, the last game I got from him was Alundra 2. Did not really care for the original Alundra, and I've heard this one's even worse. So, whatever. I'll just get it, but not probably something I'm going to play. So that is it for all the PS1 stuff I got this month. Like I said, just another really good month for that. Most of it was just due to, making a deal with my friend, local collector. But definitely nice to get some nice titles for that system. I also got a couple games for the PS2 this month. First one of these is Finny the Fish and the Seven Waters. Obscure Natsume title, of which I always like to get. And this game doesn't really go for a lot. You can buy it very cheap, but I just really don't see this game very often. So I kind of think this one in the future might start to go for a little bit more. I don't know. It's not a fishing game. That's the other thing. It's an adventure game starring a fish. So don't be confused by that. The other PS2 game I got is Fatal Fury Battle Archives 1. I already had the second one, so I decided to go ahead and complete that little mini subset. And I think I'm getting close to all the SNK fighting compilations that they put out on the PS2. I know Tom from YouTube made a recent video of all those, and I was kind of using his video to checklist, make sure I have it all. So getting down to it, and I think that was one of the last ones I needed. So that's all the PS1, PS2 stuff I got this month. I didn't get anything for PS3, but I did get a big step into the future. And, I am very slow to adopt new consoles, but in this case, I think it actually helped to wait a little bit. So finally, I have a PS4 system, but I got the PS4 Pro system. So nice to have the little upgraded one, even though I don't have the new 4K TV to really take advantage of it. But happy I kind of waited in a way just so I have a bigger hard drive and all that kind of stuff that it comes with. So I have officially joined the world of waiting an hour for a game to download before I can even play it. Such an exciting world we live in today. So with that said, let me talk about the few PS4 games I got this month. First one of these is one that really was like the system seller for me. This is ridiculous, but this is really one of the main reasons why I wanted a PS4. And that is this game, Wild Guns Reloaded. Complimentary with the included Amazon pre-order pin, or keychain that Natsume threw in with it. Really nice looking keychain too, I should say. But very excited to try this. I haven't had a chance to yet. Really like the artwork on the cover. Wish it came with a manual, but it doesn't. And just a very welcome remake. I have Wild Guns on Super Nintendo, and just a very exciting, new game in the series, or remake to play. Another PS4 game I got, just because it was very cheap at GameStop, was Chromia Omega. I've heard this is kind of a 3D rail shooter, which might be interesting. I haven't had a chance to play it either. But, hopefully that'll be okay. It was very cheap, and I don't really see it too often anymore. The final game I got for PS4, and honestly the game I've been playing more than anything else on the system, is this game, the Pinball Arcade. Some very nice recreations of classic Williams and Bally tables, and I don't know, they did a really nice job with the HD remasters on these. Some of these have been featured in prior compilations, but they really look good on the PS4. The only issue I have is I've been noticing a little bit of input lag from the controller, and I don't think that's my TV. I just think it's something with the software, because I noticed a couple other people online were talking about it too. Very good compilation though, regardless. Just some nice classic tables on here. And while I was in Las Vegas, I went to the Pinball Hall of Fame, which I've been to several times, and I got to play the real life versions of many of these after I practiced at home for a couple days. So it was kind of a useful and timely game to get. But very good compilation for the system, and very happy to have that. So let's move on and talk about some Sega systems, and I'll show you a game I got while I was in Vegas. Very rare game for the Sega Master System, at least in US form, and that is RC Grand Prix. And this game I think is somewhat common in Europe. It was developed by Absolute, which is a European developer, I believe, but for some reason the US version was published by Seismic, which had nothing to do with the development of the game, but Seismic is known for low print runs of some of the early Genesis games. One that most people would know would be Musha, and this was their only game they put out for the Master System, and it came out very late in the system's life, around 1990. So, didn't make a whole lot of these. I was very happy to get this game complete, and it's kind of like an RC Pro-Am ripoff, but not as good. Would be the best way to explain it. Also, for some reason, about 3 years after this game came out of the Master System, it came out on the US Game Gear, but not the European one. So, you can play this game on the Game Gear a little bit cheaper than I would say the Master System one if you're interested. And it's a welcome addition to the library, but not a classic by any means. The other game I got for the Master System is one of the 6, I believe, card games that look like the TurboGrafx cue cards, and that is My Hero. Haven't had a chance to play this one yet because I need to hook up my actual Master System since it has the card slot on it. So, curious how this will be, but you don't really see these card-based games too often because they were very early in the system life. Got a few games for the Genesis this month. First one of these I had to buy loose just because I've really been trying to get a complete copy of this and it just keeps going up and up and up and I don't want to pay the price. So I got a loose copy of the Double Dragon port for the system. Very curious how this is. I've heard it's a mixed bag, but I don't know. Interested in trying that out. Game I got boxed is this game, Gauntlet 4. And always wanted to play this one. This one suffers from the bad PCBs that the game comes on that Tengen had issues with. If you've ever seen my video of how to repair these, I made one for Grindstormer. And really, this game and Grindstormer are the two Tengen games that are worth playing that have that issue. So I haven't had a chance to pop this in yet to see if this one is broken, but at least I do know how to fix it if I need to. So I do think that is a known issue with these, is a lot of these cartridges are dead, and it's just due to that bad PCB that they had. I also got this game boxed. This is the Ooze. Don't really know much about this one other than it's a late release paper box game, so decided to grab it. Kind of an ugly cover on it. I got 2 more games in Las Vegas that I was very excited to get. These are both games for Sega CD. I found them at different locations, which is what made it even weirder. And one of these has been high on my want list for many, many years. This is another game that just keeps going up in price. They had a price that was considerably less than eBay, but still ridiculous, so I just decided to go ahead and grab it because I had never seen this game in person in all my years of going to game stores, and that is the Space Adventure. What I will say about this game is it is very much like Snatcher, if you have played Snatcher or if you know about Snatcher. It is based on the Japanese anime manga of Space Adventure Cobra, and the one thing I'll say about this is, like, if you haven't played Snatcher, you'll probably really enjoy this. But after playing Snatcher, it just feels lacking in just about all fronts. The writing in it is really bad. It's very just full of bad puns. It's not funny by any means. And the artwork style is good, but it's not as good as Snatcher. And the way they do, like, the branching paths of the adventure is good, but not as good as Snatcher and all that kind of thing. So I was a little bit disappointed in that because this game came out after Snatcher. It came out in 1995, which is one of the reasons why this is so difficult to find for Sega CD. But then I looked it up and found out that this was originally a TurboGrafx CD game in Japan, PC Engine CD game, that came out in 1991. So knowing that came out before Snatcher, I can kind of see why it has some of those flaws. But it's not really a big surprise why this game didn't do well in the US. I would say must have been some big labor of love for Hudson Soft, because the manual in this is just like gushing about all the efforts they put in to bring this game to the US audiences. So I've been playing it, don't get me wrong, I've probably put about 3 hours into it already. I do want to finish it just because I've wanted to play this game for a really long time, but I can't give it like a ringing endorsement by any means. So excited to get it though, however. The other game for Sega CD I haven't played yet because I've been too busy with Space Adventure is this game, Wild Woody. Another very late release in the Sega CD library, and basically it's a children's game with like penis innuendos. I can't imagine why that didn't do well. So, also had a scene of like mermaid nudity in this that you could unlock, which I have no idea why they put that in this game considering they were marketing it to children. but it has that little infamous nature to it because of those two reasons. This game's also going up in price quite a bit. I got it for about half what it's going for on eBay, so that was good. But just curious about this game. And the other thing I'll say is there's just like this interview I found with the developers of this game years after it came out online. And it's just very interesting, just talking about like the state of Sega at this time and how this game never really even made it to shelves like they intended it to. It got pulled, it got lost in the shuffle because the Saturn was already out. And just an interesting story behind this one. So looking forward to checking that out too. I got a few games for the Super Nintendo this month. First one of these, or actually the first two of these, are both Mighty Morphin Power Ranger games. I was a little bit too old to get into the Power Rangers phase. However, I was interested in both of these because I found out they were developed by Natsume, even though they are published by Bandai. So I got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. I believe this one is a beat 'em up. And I also got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the Fighting Edition, which is a real, like, based on the video I've seen of this game, the graphics look really good for a fighter for the Super Nintendo. And the last game I got for Super Nintendo was based on a video I did a couple months ago based on my Super Nintendo shooter library. I thought at the time I had everything for the system that was released in the US, but I was missing this very common cheap game, which is D-Force. Not a classic shooter by any means, but definitely wanted to get it just to say that that set was complete. So this is the last Super Nintendo shooter I needed to have the set of those. I got one manual for an NES game this month. This is also a Vegas find, and that is for the Taito version of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. There's also a Ubisoft version of this game that is completely different. It's not just a cart variant. Completely different game with the same title. So just really wanted this due to my Taito collecting, but nice to have another manual for the NES regardless. I got one game for the Wii, and that is Bit Trip Complete. My understanding is just a bunch of retro-looking mini-games type thing, and don't really see this one too often, so I decided to grab it. I got one game for the Game Boy Color I've been looking for, and that is Quest Fantasy Challenge. It's interesting that there actually is a good game with that stupid kid from the N64 game for the Game Boy Color, because this isn't actually a Quest game. It's Mr. Do, the arcade game, with a rebranding of the main character to this little nerd from Quest. So if you like Mr. Do, definitely pick this game up. What I will caution you is there's another Quest game for the Game Boy Color. Make sure you don't grab that one, because that one is a completely different game. This is the one you want if you want to play Mr. Do on your Game Boy Color. And honestly, it's a pretty good version of Mr. Do, so welcome addition to that library. But never would have known that if I hadn't just read that on the internet somewhere and decided to chase it down. Another one I learned about through the internet I had no idea existed and was super excited to get is this game for the Nintendo DS. This is Pang Magical Michael. So this is part of the Pang or Buster Brothers series, if you've ever played any of those. And this was the final game released in the series before the developer Mitchell closed operations a few years ago. And I was very excited to find out this game even existed, because this game did not come out in the US, and it also did not come out in Japan. For some reason, it only came out in European markets, even though Mitchell is a Japanese developer. So I actually got this game from Australia on eBay very cheaply, and it's a lot of fun. If you played the classic Buster Brother games, this one adds more power-ups and a lot more levels, and it still kind of maintains that world tour mode where you go around to different places in the world, and the backgrounds are just like hyper-specific to very interesting locales. It's not like you just go to Paris, you go to a very specific mountain in Paris in the game and things like that. So very nice attention to detail, and it's very sad that Mitchell went bankrupt after this game, or very soon after, I would say. A lot of fun, and definitely you can get this game cheap. It's worth it. Been playing this a lot. So getting down to kind of the other things I got this month. About wrapped up here. I got another VGA adapter for the Dreamcast. This is the Performance brand one, which is probably considered one of the better ones. I've owned several of these. I just keep buying and selling them for some reason. This one I think I'm just going to keep. Got it very cheap, and you know, I don't really use the VGA adapter a lot, but it's nice to have whenever you want to, so I'll probably keep that one. And the last thing I got this month was actually a Christmas gift from a coworker. We did a secret gift exchange. He drew my name and knew I liked video games. This is something I probably wouldn't have bought for myself, but I thought it was a really thoughtful gift from him. And they are these little light-up Mega Man and also Mario characters. Well, I think it'll light up. There it goes. So I thought they were very nice. I'm just going to put them on my game shelf. But not something I would have bought for myself, but like I said, looks good on the shelf, and very thoughtful of them. So hope you guys had a great Christmas and also a Happy New Year. Thank you for watching the video. Please leave a comment, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.